Sharon, or
Through the chair, the next one will be Bright Small Community Gardens. So I've asked for $3,470.
Can I click this off? I just want to ask a question. It's related to community gardens, but lease-wise, has that been sorted out? But this money's not anything to do with that.
No,
This money's about seeds and material. Right.
I have seen communication around actively dealing and resolving that ASAP, so.
Yeah, I would broadly support it.
Yeah.
I think it's an initiative that gets people involved. Students from the high school go along there from time to time, and I think they pulled some support with the Lifestyle Trust. They still get some Lifestyle Trust people coming along and helping out there as well. So yeah, that's why I have it too.
no, thanks, mate. I'm similar. I had a 2 ranking, but close to 1, and wanted to continue to support that. They do a magnificent job there.
So I'm for 1. I really like that. I like the fact that you know, they do the scrolling thing, and you can come and go to the little box and get stuff that you community, particularly at a time when people are struggling and going to be there, you know, that type of thing. So I think it's the reason why we do 1. Yeah.
Just a bit of a heart for the community, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what's people thinking figure-wise, 2,000?
I had 2,000 to begin with, but you can play around with that 2.5.
I just want to, at the same time, the green jeans people that aren't these people, but they do an enormous amount, you know, working with our district gardens, so that a lot of, you know, our gardens now are edible as well. Yeah, it's really, so that's really good. So we're going for 2 as a starter?
Yeah, Cheryl, so far we're going for $2,000 for Bright Smile Gardens.
Yeah, that's good with me.
Maybe an
Does
asterisk.
everybody else think?
Agreed.
2,000 with an asterisk. We're cutting on to your asterisk now, Cheryl.
That's it. I'll go up.
Good technique.
So next one is Friends of St. Family, $1,200.
Can I just ask whether that
That's
is
the
48
marine
areas or
reserve
what?
one. Marine
That's
reserve application.
Yeah, I said no to
I said no as well.
And I feel bad because I think EMI do a really good job of getting kids into the sea and, you know, getting them to experience the marine reserves. But there weren't any Thames schools on the list.
No.
Yeah.
And they were applying to all of the community boards. So that's why I gave them a 3, because.
So I think that, and we've got other grants to help people link to the sea, like Waka ones and things like that.
Yeah.
So to me, it was a 3. So
Yeah.
are we people happy if we ruled that one out?
Yes.
I gave it 1, but that was weighed up by Marine Reserve and the school, so I'm happy to go with the consensus on that.
So next, done Thames Community Centre. So next one is the Coromandel Peninsula, $1,000.
Oh, that's the Wonder Search Trust.
Right, I want to see trust.
Can I just speak to that? I know it's an organisation that struggles for funds because it relies on donations from those that require a pension. So it's very hard to find the funds to provide the pension for
So that's for people without
Alzheimer's,
Alzheimer's.
stuff like that.
Why does health not fund that?
pass, but it doesn't.
Or MSD, because it just strikes me as if that's the other thing at the risk of sounding like somebody else. You know, should our little old lady up the hill be paying for something that the health budget or MSD budget should be paying for? And that's what I struggle with. And for some families, getting opinions not a hassle, and I absolutely understand the people that it's a major But I just,
I think, Sally, just to talk to that, I just think that, I guess from the Ministry of Social Development's point of view, is that they fund you to have a St John's ambulance alarm thing in your home if you are unwell and all that kind of thing. So I guess they draw a line in the sand as to how many things are going to come for you in a medical. Not to mention the fact that when you actually do become incapacitated and need to go into care, it's there again, MSD steps in and pays for your residential, which often is kind of a door for dementia.
so, but if I was arguing from a health point of view, I'd say so they absolutely should be funding this because it keeps people out of rest homes for longer because families can feel safer that if their grandpa does go for a wander, that someone will be able to track that person.
Agreed.
Anyway, we count this only $1,000.
It seemed like a very small amount of money for a lot of good to me, which is why I gave it a 1.
How many people can they help with 1,000?
Can't remember.
I'm not sure what the actual pendant costs are per pendant, but quite a lot.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
So we're going with 1,000, is that what I'm hearing?
I think that's would be great.
So this is the first one where we're giving them what they asked for, is that right?
Yes, that is fair.
Apart from,
So we could half that, but because it's only 1,000.
Yeah,
all that's all add up, and gives them the
well, we'll know what it adds up to when we get there.
So should we say 500 with an asterisk?
No, we should just say
No,
that.
it's just over 1,000.
Okay.
And be there. Be there.
All right, next one is Spirit of Coromandel, $2,000.
Sorry, which one was that?
And Spirit of Coromandel.
That's for individual young people to go do things, eh?
To go to the Edmund Hillary camp in Tongariro.
Sorry, I gave it a 3.
I was hoping to help more young people buy the waka armour and stuff like that, so that's why I gave that through.
This is for individuals. My personal view is this is where Rotary and Lions clubs and so on, this is where they sponsor individuals.
Yes.
Would this directly support 4 people or is it part?
No.
It's 4 people.
So it's 500 per person?
It's yeah. Well, the application says it's 4 people.
Yeah.
So that's no, or?
That's a no, boss.
We'll just check with Cheryl.
We've got
Yeah.
3
ones there.
Got 3 ones. Cheryl, 3 threes.
It's
Sorry?
a no. It's a
No,
no.
no, I actually wanted to fully fund this one because I think anything that goes towards children and teenagers is really worthwhile.
Right.
And if they're going to take 4 people from this district, I think it's worth it. So that's my opinion.
Well, there's a different view and that's, you know.
Hang on, is it from this district or from this ward? It's from Thames, yeah?
Oh, sorry, from this ward.
Is that the total cost? So if I'm sitting in a house with absolutely no money and they're going to give me $500, where does my family have to fly me to get me there and stuff? Because are we just giving people false hope? Like that can't be the total cost going on from the Spirit of the Coromandel.
The total cost is $2,820 for 4 people.
Yeah, through the chair, that amount includes return travel from Thames to Turangi for 4 people.
So the remaining $820, they say that will come from funds from the Spirit of Coromandel Trust.
Right.
So where's everyone sitting with this?
I'm saying that 500,000 and other people are saying the full.
And I'm saying nothing.
I've got a 3 next to this as well, so
Yeah.
it's up to you guys.
I'd be comfortable with the half because it's
That
allows
means 2 people.
either 2 people or they have to fundraise themselves to assist in their going.
Or they approach Rotary or
Yeah,
approach
exactly.
someone else for a little bit of individual sponsorship. We're going to see Scott Simpson.
Good luck.
So 1,000 asterisk,
Well, an asterisk down if we can't fund other things.
Or maybe it could be a hash.
It's going to overcomplicate my word. Could we please next, so next is Operation Cover Up, which was, I think, to buy a laptop.
Yeah, so my question with this is there any in-kind support that we could assist with this to say, well, rather than you buy a laptop or you buy the equipment or whatever, that you could talk to our comms people and say, this is what I need? Because it seems like a lot of money to just, there's one event a year for Operation Cover Up.
could I explain what this is?
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of volunteers, net wares.
Oh, yes.
And they compile it, make blankets out of it, and send it over to Moldova and to Romania and these poorer countries to provide blankets. Now, you might say that's out of Thames, but it's not, because you have a look at the occupational therapy and the social aspects of 90% of elderly that do this.
Well,
And,
full disclosure, I missed for Operation Cover Up this year, and so last weekend.
So I don't think Robin's arguing about that.
No, not at all.
It's just,
I thought it was quite a good one to try and support.
and Martin, if you got a spare computer.
From my point of view, and I've seen the quote there, it's a little bit like a steamroller to smash a walnut. It's a flash machine, and that's what Nolan do. They sell machines. I would be completely comfortable with supplying, and I don't know whether we're allowed to do stuff like this, but I have laptops at home that would more than adequately do that, do what they need, or even whether I don't know whether the IT people here lease laptops and for staff and then send them back after 3 years, whether that's an option as well. But to keep it simple, I'm happy to donate a laptop to this group. But like I said, I don't know if we're allowed to do stuff like that.
No reason why
Or
we
you
can't.
can, when you're saying we're not going to support it,
Yeah.
it's off the table.
So I'll put up there, if we say we're not going to support it, I'll provide them for that.
All right.
Can you shift it down? Yes.
So I think that that's fair enough because, well, you've said you can do it. And that was the other thing for me is I know there's people that have philosophical problems with pub charity and I absolutely acknowledge that. But something like a laptop's the perfect thing to apply for someone like that. You get 2 quotes, you always get it. So there are other ways of funding it than the ratepayer to get it.
So through the chair, be free to note that down. We'll leave it to Operation Cover Up, that the board supports the great work they're doing and that that's a kind person attached.
And this person.
Very nice.
I did ask Cheryl.
Thank you.
Okay, Cheryl, with that.
Cheryl, you hear that?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
And thanks for the very kind offer, Martin.
So then we have steampunk Thames and we have Tully Thames, and that's the solar steampunk. So just to let you know, there's 2.
Yes.
Steampunks for 7,000 and the solar steampunk is 10,000.
So I was 1 for totally Thames and a 2 for steampunk. And I see 1 steampunk in traditional terms is about celebrating the past or recreating the past, what should I say? And the totally Thames one is recreating the future. 2 very different concepts.
Yeah.
And I see that that both could be really outstanding for the town. In terms of reinforcement of steampunk. So I had $7,250 for the no, why the 250, but 7,000 for totally Thames and 5,000 for the other one. Income. But, you guys, that's what I thought, 1 and 2 recognised, to continue to support them. Because so many people get so, I mean, you don't have to like steam pump to enjoy it. You know, it's just got so much energy and fun to watch. You know,
It's very inclusive.
It is.
Yeah.
And this is the inclusive part in
Yeah.
terms of this is the free sort of bit for the public and.
Which still costs money to put on.
Well,
Which is
absolutely.
really simple, because
yeah.
it's free for everyone else except it's not.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have to pay.
Yeah, but people enjoy the craziness of it, and gee, it brings people to town, you know, it's amazing.
And I'm just wondering about the process that we're following so far. So would it be useful at this point, because we've kind of dealt with the ones that were the highest score or the lowest approval rating, if you like. So we've already got some money figures in there. Would it be useful at this point to then look at the ones that we really highly support? So there's an 8 there that sort of stands out, and a 10, 11, and an 11, and then just maybe put those on the spreadsheet and see what we've got. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to do that before you consider this?
Sorry to take over.
No, you can do it. I don't mind how you do it. It sounds absolutely sensible. So we've got the Ngāti Maru mural, and it was $5,000, and that scored an 8, so it's 4,500.
Yeah, let's just give them the money. It's so awesome.
I think they got a little bit from Coromandel.
I had a 3 years. The reason I had a 3 years because it's on private land, and 2, I looked at the financials of Ngāti Maru and wondering why, you know, it can't be funded through other means. I mean, they had 600,000 in current assets, I think, or something like that. So I just wondered about it, that's all. That was my view.
Yeah, that's
Not that I don't support the idea.
That's sort of gave mine too.
Oh, so are we wanting to reduce that to 5,000?
Well, we've got 4 ones though, haven't we? So
Yeah. That's the visual, I guess from that perspective, it's easy to, it's seen, I hope it's going to be really awesome. But I do think it's very same to, accept.
and the public will have views around it one way or the other. Really, won't they? You know, they'll either it's great or why they get money to.
Well, I think that we are developing a partnership and the community has to get their head around that.
Yep.
However awkward that is for quite a few people. So I think, and there's other organisations that have got reasonably healthy. So
Not too many on this list.
All right, next one is,
yeah, it's a whole organisation for business development and we expect them to really do the work for nothing.
Yeah, no, I'm happy, you know, to support it, that's fine.
next one
So
is
has
10.
anyone got an amount that they'd like to support?
Oh, so we've got 5,000 as a starter. Apologies. Were there any changes to that at the moment, or is everyone happy to leave it at 5,000 for now?
I'm for full funding.
Yeah, do something.
The next one is Thames Gym Sport, $1,385, and they scored a 10-11.
Hang on, Cheryl's just asked what we were talking about, so we should
Oh,
make sure she's.
We seem to be skipping quite frequently, and it's very hard to keep track of it.
We're just going through some of the priority ones now, Cheryl.
Okay. So
Yeah,
those
just-
are the ones that got the lowest ranking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just to get an idea of, you know, the totals in terms of after we've dealt with those that was everyone's priority.
Right. So can I just go back to Ngāti Maru? We haven't granted any monies towards any cultural groups so far, and I'm really keen to make sure that they do get the amount that they've requested.
At this stage they have.
Good. Okay.
So next one is Thames Gym Sports, $1,385. That's scored at 10-11.
They're doing amazingly well, like the cricket people, aren't they? They're doing so much.
And since they moved out there, they've been paying their, what were volunteer coaches, because they've got so many children involved. And yeah, I've been out there a couple of times and it's cool.
So there's a wages portion in this, so we separated that out, have we? This is Thames Gym Sports. Cheryl?
Thank you.
Oh, so Strat, their budget includes wages in the total budget, but they're applying for less than their total budget?
We get it, so long as it's kosher, I just do it.
Yeah.
Some wages.
What's suggesting other than
Yeah. And the podium, which
Just
is,
excludes the wages.
excludes the wages.
yeah, cool.
So we have an amount there, it sounds like a pretty high priority. Full amount? Yep.
Great.
Full amount, thank you.
So the next two is there's two Wakaama ones. So one's 1,500 towards a race and one's 4,600 towards Waka Kids.
And I just had a query on this in terms of where is it? That's all I was asking.
200.
Oh,
I've been there because mine goes like, and that's all safety boat stuff. And I think I've been, the whānau nature of it and the spread of different ages and people that get in those waka is astonishing. And I really, really like it as another concept rather than traditional tauiwi sports, and that's not true because they are. So yeah, I just believe in it. And gear is important on the sea and it isn't cheap.
And if your kid's life jacket doesn't fit, you might as well not wear one.
Yeah, or you probably lose them. So I support the concept, whether I can support the gear, because that's the other thing, I'd like to sit down and help them buy, you know, thingies, buy through pub charities, but they could well have a philosophical situation different to mine about that funding, and I can well understand. The race is, people come from all over the North Island, so that $1,500 is a big event.
so we're happy to allocate $1,500. And then the next one, the honey paddle and drop jackets.
Paddles and life jackets.
We've sort of gone from harming them to filling them, that's bad.
Because they're the highest ranking, I mean, it makes sense if you're ranked at high, you obviously, and to get it.
Buy into it.
Yeah.
Do we know, Ariana, who we are?
Shah's got to tell us.
Okay, sorry.
35,860.
So we're doing all right.
Sorry, 35.
Yeah, we've got 24,140 left.
Shah, can I clarify, does that have the, does that include the highage fees and the grants, or is this, yeah, that's what they're on the grant?
So where are we at? We're full amount for the 1,500. Are we the full amount for the purchase of the equipment? Will we half that or what?
4,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Don't want to get half because you like jacket. Why do they pedal slow?
Pick a winner today.
The next one is Thames squash racket. That was for $1,444 and it was scored 11.
That was for tennis balls. I know, that was for, squash. Oh, yeah, that was for ceiling.
Tiles.
$1,000? Or does that mean you only get half the wall done, or?
Half the floor.
It's a very specific amount.
Retiling,
The quote is in there.
Is that council?
retiling the,
No, sorry, I did check, we checked and it's council land, but it's their building. That was one of my immediate questions.
Council land for their building?
Yeah.
if we agree to anything else that looks like this? Just,
I had a three on it.
Yeah.
So I've got a 4 too, I just think it's not our domain.
I'm not going to die on this, I'm very
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna die on it quickly. Well,
Yeah.
I just don't want to see that they, that they struggle to have the facility, to give to their sports players if they haven't got the money to tile the floor. You know, is there an issue with it, that they're actually having to tile it? Is it gonna make it difficult for them? $1,400.
Give them 2/3?
Look, I think that the members might be able to
So,
come up with the rest.
should we look for it?
Yeah, I'm one.
Holy moly, so.
That's right. I don't know where I'd, you know,
And they've got $40,000 in current assets, which is Westpac savings account, 20,000.
that's next.
Westpac check account, 16,000.
Yeah, so that comes
So-
up money.
It's not as if they haven't got the money, but,
No,
I mean, I'm granted, you know, these clubs do struggle. They need to have reserves and they've got high maintenance in their buildings and stuff like that. But, I just think,
I didn't want to go down the COVID thing, but I will, you know, just because of, the issue around COVID and the fact that a lot of our sports has not been able to, go forward this year with the competitions getting supporting, so.
well, it's valid because, I mean, just don't know how much squash has been affected as a result of the COVID story and,
Well.
you know, it's going to make them struggle more.
okay, so what are we going to do?
Could be 500? Final offer.
Shall we go on?
Shall we make it 500 and see how we get on at the end?
Yes.
And
Good, thank you.
it's against Peter's principles, who's clear about yes or no.
I'll clearly know, but that's okay.
The next one is Thames Croquet Club, 2,426.
That's the rates.
Yes, so the background to this is that my understanding is that they missed out for some unknown reason when we did the rates thing. I think it might have been as part of the last LTP process, so essentially that was built for 2 years. So did I get that correct, Shah? I right in my.
Through the chair, they've been billed for the first year, for 1920. It included 2021 because it would be too late in the next one.
That was felt this was the best way of tidying up that issue because other groups were already receiving it and for some reason they were left off the list.
So people like the squash club and that who are on our grounds don't pay rates either, they get.
Haven't been in the past.
Which one are we doing again?
Cheryl's asked who this is.
Croquet club,
Croquet. I was concerned about the precedent that might set in terms of applying through a grant process for rates revision. We were going to get a flood of them, you know, at some point, but that's a policy issue more than anything else in my mind. It's a total policy issue.
So my understanding is this is sort of a
It
euro.
needs to be sorted out the policy for these sort of things rather than, you know, every club applying for grant.
this was an error in the policy though.
This was an error in the process of it, and so the advice from finance was that this was the best way of rectifying that
Oh, I see.
So who made the error, the croquet club or the council?
I pass, I'm not 100% involved in all, no, I haven't.
Yeah, no, I'm just sort of thinking.
I just know that they approached the mayor about it and it came through to me in finance, suggestion was it.
I mean,
They also said in their application that their members have already had their fees increased by 30% to cover other costs and the future rates. So, in terms of the people, I know that there's been a lot of discussion at council about user pays. I think that the users of the croquet club are already contributing quite a lot. And so it'd be really nice if we were able to support them.
I understand that. I'm just trying to think. I'm sitting here thinking, where was the error? And if the error was on the part of the club, then hey, if the council made the error, then surely the council just fixed it.
But it still comes out of our funds somehow, I presume, because or is it a district rate that's trying to get sorted through our local grants?
Can answer that question, so I'm not quite close enough to it.
I guess it comes down to maybe this as well as rates, and then you've got the guys out at the airfield who are wanting to reduce their resource or their permit.
Yeah.
Which is, it's sort of a little bit, I don't know if we're in a,
Well, Joe, if we're in a,
I just wonder if we're actually, sort of walking in an area that we probably shouldn't be.
And it's going to come up again because Debbie was very clear about wanting all her fees waived for her whole.
yes.
And it's a bit like, I've been bringing up Genesis and saying, I really do need you to stop charging me for power. Because we do, council does cost money to run.
Yeah, it's just that thing, if you waive those fees, then who's going, we are again going to get a rates increase because there's more money needed.
I'm just going to find the relevant email. Okay, thank you. Inform you all fully.
Should we talk about something?
Have you heard all this discussion, Cheryl?
Yes, you can talk about steampunk stuff for you.
Can we talk about these?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So I think this isn't a large amount of money that they're asking for, and I think it's really important that we provide opportunities for older people to stay fit and healthy. Otherwise, the cost is a lot bigger. So I would fully fund this one. That's my feeling.
Okay, thank you.
Can we talk about the SPCA while Erin's finding more information? Because what intrigues me is people have either gone for a 1 or a 3.
Yes,
no
nothing in the middle.
and that really interests me because that's the only one.
Part of the reason I gave them the 3 is I think they still have a policy across the country that they will catch and de-sex wild cats and then let them go.
Yeah.
And I'm completely opposed to anything that lets wild cats go.
Yeah.
So that's my philosophical thing behind it.
Yeah. I agree.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, indeed, and it's completely crazy. Anyway, but that's.
I was a 3 as well.
Actually, it's not completely crazy because there was some research done some years ago about wild cats, and what the conservation groups tried to do was just catch them and kill them. And they found that the population of cats actually exploded. So then they changed tack and they caught them and they de-sexed them and put them back, and they found the population went down because somewhere along the line the cats were figuring out that there weren't many of them, and so they were breeding harder to keep their numbers up. So that's actually documented research.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't think that the Thames Community Board is responsible for this. It strikes me as a big stretch in terms of, what we should be doing. So that's why I went to 3, because I know it's a problem, but
I gave it a 1, but I wasn't privy to, some of the background that you're talking about now. Where it would sit or not sit, for the simple reason that, it's a really important program for our town. But, at the end of the day, I'll sit with what everyone thinks.
What's the budget? Are they asking for?
5,000.
When I,
I gave it to her. I gave it to
I
her.
went for one on that, and the reason I did that is because I just think that people I'm a person who has a pound dog. I call it a pound dog because that's where we got it from, and we took them home and we love them. And many people would love to have a dog and love them, but those expensive things that occur when having an animal. So if you can pick up an animal that's already D6, you'll probably take it home and love it more than having to pick up an animal, pay for it to be D6, microchip it, and then pay your registration. So I just sort of thought, well, maybe that might be a nice thing.
yeah, the uncomfortable thing about that argument, from my point of view, is that yes, there's an upfront cost, but then if you can't afford that upfront cost and that is out of your reach, then who's to say that you're not going to just abandon it or leave, throw it out?
Yeah,
I
we
just
can't
don't like
assume
it. I
it's
don't like to I don't even like the thought of going out and telling Pookie going, it's just
Yeah,
like,
no, I don't know.
people please.
Both of my cats have been stray cats that turned up at our house that we've ended up adopting, and both of them, as it turns out, after we've gotten to know them for a while, had health problems and it required special diets and a kind of expensive to keep. I think I know how they became raised. It's just too hard, and so we just, toss the war on them and go.
So where are we all going with this now? How do we feel about it? Some big good points raised.
I mean, the Barton's just got the cost budget that they've got up here, and their budget is actually really high, so they're asking for quite a small amount of that. So their budget is $18,000, and they're asking for 5. So
And I had $2,500 for it, but
yeah,
only because I didn't raise it to 1.
Shall we put 2.5 in now as a sitting on the fence and see how we get on with the others and have a look at the final figure?
I think it should be nothing, just so.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
Because they've also applied to the 4 other community boards for 2.5,
And they won't get it.
and the
they,
others.
I don't remember seeing them in the other ones that have had their meetings, but I'll check quickly.
I think there's one other thing I want to put in here, and it's not necessarily directly about desexing, it's actually about supporting the SPCA, because they have further research has shown that abused women put off leaving a violent partner because of the pets. Where do the pets go? And
Yeah.
the SPCA may be the only place that will take that pet while the woman's in refuge. So for me, it's about supporting the SPCA rather than a particular desexing program, and just making sure that, that women can escape these situations and they have somewhere to put their precious dog, the cat's, the kid's pet, or the cat, so it's out of harm's way.
I think that's a good point, but I think there's a lot of steps between desexing a cat and ending up with, it being in the home where a woman wants to, what we're talking about here is desexing cats.
And what I'm saying is that they'll probably just go into the coffers, and yes, they'll account for the amount of money that we have given them, but it's still supporting the organisation as a whole.
I see that.
I'm purely a supporter of the program, but I'm happy with what everyone suggested. We've got a majority here that's saying no to this, or if you want to show of hands, I'm saying yay. Oh, well, you're going no first, go no first.
No, there's always yes first.
What are you?
Yes, I'm a yes.
But yes, a small amount, you mean?
Yeah, $2,500 or 2,000.
I'm good for the reduction.
I've gone from strongly opposing to a little bit closer to sitting on the fence now because I hadn't thought about that stuff. Thank you, Cheryl.
It's 2,500, knowing that if once we've gone through the we've got some biggies here.
Yeah.
That's one, I'm going to write that down as one of the ones that we come back to if we need to.
Agreed.
Have another discussion. Does that fit?
Yep.
It does.
So now,
Which I'll give you, provide this, Reader's Digest measure in the pro paper. So the subsection invoice for land rates recovery for the 2019-20 year is sharp explained. The rates cover service only solid waste, wastewater and water. The Thames Community Board in 2017 did not list this club as one it would pay rates for to 30th of June 2021. It is unclear if this was by omission or design. It says our rates remission policy allows us to remit all land rates for community groups. This applies to rates other than those charged for our water, wastewater and solid waste. The land rates have been remitted, the amount charged is as per the policy. The issue is that the community boards have approach will sometimes pay these rates, however, it is at the community board's discretion and it appears they did not include the croquet club when they last considered this in 2017. They could ask the community board to reconsider paying these rates, and the advice provided was that because it would be an out-of-cycle budget request for the community board, so we need to use discretionary funds or grants to pay for this if we wanted to, and that's why it's included on here. And I can't speak for what happened in 2017. I wasn't in this role at that time, so I probably don't know if you were back from recall.
I certainly can't. I'm wondering why it was omitted.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know, as they said, they don't know what it
Or
was.
why.
Mm.
Like they're saying, you know, it is the policy. It just seems very unusual that it's very out of cycle, in fact it was omitted. And I was, you know.
So what does that mean?
That you can decide whether you would like to do it or whether you would prefer not to. That's $2,446.
To me, if we decided it should come out of the discretionary fund and not this fund, because this isn't, this is 100% oversubscribed.
Yeah.
So a mess up over rates, I don't think is a good criteria. And if we're going to help them, I think it has to come out of the discretionary. And I know we've only got $5 grand for the whole year, so that's a bit tricky.
Cheryl, we're back on the croquet club.
Okay, I keep forgetting to unmute.
Have you got this list of the conversation, Cheryl?
Yeah, I have. Yep.
Especially with what Sally was just saying. Personally, I think discretionary fund, I think that's a very good suggestion. How much is it?
I'm just worried our discretionary fund's going to be zero by the time we leave this meeting.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is if that came out of discretionary, the hall hire would definitely have to come into the grants.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't have both.
To the
And at
chair.
the moment, they're included in our running total hall hire. But I just don't think you fix a wrong by dipping into your heavily subscribed community funds, even though we're helping the croquet club out, I don't know.
So let's,
Sorry, Minister Shah, sorry, just had a point on that.
Oh, no, just the balances through the chair. After the 3 hall hires are waived, there was a balance of 2,980. So there is enough to cover the rates if you chose to, leaving a balance of $534 in
so
your
you can still be
discretionary
able
fund.
to vote that. Can I suggest we put it as discretionary, not part of the grants thing, and then we can look at it at the end, when we realise we've only spent 56,000.
How much are we at the moment?
We are 17,148.
So 17, right.
Yeah, left to spend.
How much have we got there?
Bearing in mind, we haven't gone to our discretionary fund for all marriage at this point.
So So we've got,
1850.
I would suggest that we go to Thames Rugby and Sports next, and then we do Thames Museum, and then we'll do the steam home. So Thames Rugby and Sports was $1,500.
What's that for? Signage and stuff for their,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I choked a little bit when I saw the balance, $1 million.
No,
Really? That's what it showed. Did it not show $1 million? Was
No.
And then set up a side committee to do some of the interventions. And adding the side committee a little bit of money that they have to give back to this rugby sport. I just sort of thought.
So my view is rugby would have to be the best funded sport in New Zealand. And if they need $1,500, go and talk to Bowden Barrett or, you know, just, or,
I love sports.
me too, I love rugby. I love rugby. It's a rugby World Cup.
Just not.
yes, I do.
Yeah, so I just felt the same, set up a side committee, loan them some money, and then tell the committee to pay it back, and then turn up here and ask for the money, and just let it sit for a while.
Is that a no in conclusion?
What's our reasoning behind that?
Well, they've got $117,000. Well, they've got 61,000 on their check account, and 17,000. Oh, that's in their grazing account. So theoretically, they've got cash on hand, 61,000, which is a reasonable sum.
Yeah, I feel they're greater needs, like cricket club, it's a greater need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's out?
Well, hang on, have they explained what those funds, if those funds are tagged for something else? Because community groups are damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. So I actually gave this a 1 because I thought that it's a small amount. They have not applied for funding to the community board before, and it could be that they've got plans for those funds that they've got in the bank account.
Well, they definitely will have, Cheryl, because the grandstand and stuff, but the community has supported by doing repainting and stuff out there, so there's quite a lot of rates being spent out there. I get you that it's only a small amount.
Yeah, it's that, yes, they've got money, but yeah, I don't know. It's a, they've got a lot of money. They've got a lot of money.
They've got.
What about other avenues, you know, I mean.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll take your point
whatever.
about rugby, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I just think
It's still going to go ahead without us,
Yeah.
isn't it?
it is. I mean, I think that having a side committee to borrow money is probably.
Michael will advertise it a lot on our Facebook.
Yeah.
It's not advising.
Make notes.
Next up is Thames Museum Society, $5,000. They've got an 11 or a 12.
So we've just got 3 left, is that right?
So that's
We've got museum, steampunk,
It's not
solar,
22,000 and we've got 17,000.
we've got 22,000, 23,000 or something to go.
Is that right, Charles?
17,140.
So clear to go.
So we can do
So
10
we've got-
grand, 7 grand, 5 grand.
I'm hearing 17 and 22, so what have we got there?
Oh, sorry.
17.
17,140.
There's 22 left on the board. Okay.
Right, and we've got
So that
17
includes
to do it in. Right,
Christmas Wonderland.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Christmas Wonderland, oh, did we do?
That is correct. We haven't dealt with the $4,000. You have made a call on
Oh,
that.
Did we say yes to that? I thought we said no to the 4 grand.
You dealt with the full hire, but there wasn't.
I wasn't here.
I can close the discussion on the,
So I had all hire plus $2,000. A wonderful event they put together and, you know, that's my view.
That all relates to me in how we're thinking about the other one, so I'm happy for the 2,000 to sit there until we think about what that means in terms of what we can't give to other ones, because I'm confident that they'll do an amazing job without that too.
so I'm just going to put these other amounts in here, just say these are the ones that hit your higher reach.
And they're pretty much their personal situation is not great, and rather in terms of
No.
so they're going the extra mile to have this event. I think it needs more than just a raw hire. I think it's for some nominal amount. But anyway.
The Thames Museum,
Thames Museum.
how much do we currently, we give them 2.5 or something new? No.
I
Which one are
think
we discussing now?
Thames Museum,
Museum, $5,000.
Cheryl, did you want to speak to the Wonderland Christmas thing? Sorry, I missed you on that one. At this stage, what have we allocated, Erin?
So we allocated the full hireage of $4,537, and we've added $2,000 towards purchase of
Right.
additional lights.
Yeah.
They asked for.
And we'll come back to that with the extras. All right with that, Cheryl?
Yep, that's good.
Okay, thank you. And we're now moving on to the museum.
Right.
So what, they're after 10.25,
No, there are, yeah, but they're
And-
requested 5,000.
4,000 through fundraising already, 1,250 for museum contributing. Right,
So they're setting up a new display, isn't it, sort of Thames through the,
ages.
which having become a resident user of these historical things in town. I think they're fantastic. And everybody I'm talking to, I'm saying, hey, you've got to go and look at these things and see these things. And if you haven't been to the Golden Mine experience, go. It's fantastic. Yeah, so I think it's just,
I had two supported with $3,000, but it was close to one, and I was sort of thinking, well, you know, Rosalie's work with this supporter is just outstanding for our town. Her historic knowledge and trying to get all this together, you know, with the museum society, so. Yeah, I'd like to see it supported.
Plus they run pretty close to the, you know, they're not making a huge amount of money every year. They're pretty much getting by each year.
so I'm happy if this 3 goes in for now. I'm just really interested in what people are thinking about the other biggies, which is steampunk and solar punk. Because that, to me, this is that hunk of money that we're proportioning out between those 3 things now.
well, if
That's down
If we fully fund all those, it takes us almost to 60 grand, I think. If we fully
So
fund.
there'd be 14,000 left and there's 17,000 left on the board.
And some asterisks.
And some asterisks.
No, but we had 17 before and then we approved 3,000.
Yeah, so it's 14.
Shah, was the Christmas
Okay.
Wonderland, that 2,000, does that come out of the 17 or had we already taken that out?
I'll give you what I've got.
Thank you.
6,537 under Thames Christmas Wonderland. I've got the figures for steampunk and solar punk in there as well. Straight go, or you want me to take that? Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we take those out, then
is steampunk
You've
solar?
got 40,000 that you've spent, 40,397.
Okay, so we've
So
got,
I've still got 19,603.
oh, right, okay, that's good.
But then why would we suddenly, just because we've got some money now, pay full amounts for steampunk when we've cut down last year on because we felt so tight around the food festival, for example?
Yeah,
Like,
Junior cricket.
well, that's why there's got asterisks, but yeah.
so what are we thinking about steampunk, the Thames, the $7,000? Like,
I'm thinking 5,000. And I'm thinking 7,500 for the other one. So, for the new event, and then I would love to see some added to the our incentive streets program, the launch of our street program. I really love that festival to go ahead, the arts festival. How it goes ahead, I'm not sure.
I mean, the reason that we didn't allocate more money to innovative streets to that festival was the perception of,
Yeah.
yeah, so
I think
that doesn't
so
really
that
solve
has to
it.
be renamed and
Yeah.
it's not, so it is what it is.
So the Steampunk the Thames, there's $500 for a sound technician, and then all of the other expenses of their 7,336 are different performers. So I guess if we gave them less, and they don't seem to have a lot of money either, they'd just get fewer performers, is that?
Yeah.
So it would still go ahead, there'd still be something free, it would just be, that they'd have to.
And there is already free stuff, like
Yeah.
the parade is not free
And
for them at all,
No,
but for the public, it's
And a lot of the-
much better than the Santa parade. It was super cool
and
last
a
year.
lot of the things that were at the Parawai School Gala were free as well, that people could go to. So there are free things, yeah.
So just to, we haven't actually discussed steampunk in Thames yet.
Yeah.
Great deal.
Well, that's what we're saying.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So, some, in previous years, they've had money that when someone said about sound technician. So, they pay some money to Thames Music and Drama, which we then use that money for, our gear, for bringing gear in and the people to operate it. So I wonder if in fact I should leave. I mean, I don't personally make any money out of it. It all goes to Thames Music and Drama, so, but I'd be happy to leave if people thought that was a conflict of interest. But I should have mentioned it before, I apologise.
I think probably as you are officer
Yeah.
of that organisation and you've now declared that
Yeah.
you're part of that you should leave.
I'm just going to say the same things. I think you
Sorry.
It's all right, my apologies.
Bye.
It's a conflict of interest.
So where are we back to now? We're steampunk. So that's $5,000 in my view.
I'm like around steampunk and solar punk and just they're not together, so they're quite separate, so I have to run
Yep.
a punk thing separately. So I would give 7,500 to the solar punk, and then you get 5,000 to steampunk. Should we maybe look at it and give them the same amount each? That way, we're not going, or we're not appearing as a favourite. And I think about it in terms of steampunk at the table often, you know, like they have been here before. I know what it's about. I know that steampunk is about an event, and it's great for the community, and it's awesome. But solar is new, first time here, asking for some grant. Steampunk has been around at the table a few times, so balance.
I mean, I don't think that, we mustn't get confused about the fact that they've both got the word punk in the title, that they are actually two quite separate events, and, you know, going by that logic, yes, we've actually got 3 events because we've got steampunk, we've got solar punk, and we've got the food festival. And if we're going to go like that, we have to be equal to the other new events as well, because we're looking at an established event, but actually 2 new events. Which is, you know, can I take on board what Peter was saying, that the events, you know, it's almost like we're investing because we're going to give them some money, and then they're going to bring in people from all over New Zealand to come and spend their money here, and so you kind of want to return.
So how much we got left in the account
Cards.
before we consider steampunk? And
Before we, 19,600.
19,000, so if you gave 7,500 to each, we still have 4,000 and something left. No, sorry, $7,000 each, or $6,000 each for the
What did you say? You said you had 19?
19.
And he's just talking about steampunk and solar.
Solar, and I'm saying if you give them $6,000 each at this point and see how that looks. It's only my suggestion. I mean, others can throw them out. I'm just trying to help the process.
7,600.
The solar pump thing seems very exciting to me.
Yeah,
Very, very exciting.
and it's a totally new thing in the off season.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with 12,000. So that leaves us with 7,000 odd.
7,600.
And what else have we got to consider?
Oh, should I go get Martin again?
Yes,
We've done.
give Martin back.
Yeah.
Cheryl, we're giving $6,000 each to steampunk and totally Thames. Solar pump at this stage.
What did we
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And we've only given the food festival 3,300. We've only given them the street closure at the moment.
And we've got 5,000 left in the fund. What else have we got to consider?
That's another one to do one up. I think in terms of the food festival, it sounds like it's momentum between Thames Business Association and Media Works. So I think that in terms of funding it, any communications, it'd be really clear that they're, you know, that they're running it, not that it's going directly to those organisations.
So could I put in a bid to increase the 3,300 to 5?
Yep.
And people agree
I'd
or
like to
not
see it
agree?
increase to 7,000.
Yeah,
I'd agree to 5.
Or there's movement to 7?
Well, we did talk here about cricket and Bright Smile, if we have any money.
They had
left over.
asterisks.
Yeah.
So if we gave it 7, how much have we got left?
If we gave it 5, how much we have left?
Yeah.
2,000.
Yeah.
Sorry, TBA,
Well, I'm the chair of this.
If we gave,
if you gave them 5, what's the difference if we gave them 5 or 7, please share? Which ask one right, maybe.
gave 5,000, you'd have 5,903. And 7, obviously, 2,903.
And we gave how much to cricket nets?
5,000, increase that by the asterisks.
So if you want to increase that to $2,500 to $7,500, how much have we got left?
Oh, no.
Sorry, are we doing it on the presumption of Business Association 5 or 7? Sorry, just so that shares clear. 5 to start with?
5 to TBA,
Okay, yeah.
So we gave
7.5 to the cricket,
Yeah,
leaves you with 3,403.
well, I'd like to see that increase to 7,000 for the food festival.
And 1,400, and then another bit more to
Bright Smile.
Bright Smile, who's got the other asterisk. Well, I can't say that either.
So how much more to the Bright Smile?
Yep.
So it's on 7, so sorry, I just need to be clear. So 7 food festival, 7, was it 7 to junior cricket?
Yeah.
And so Bright,
Another 1,000.
Bright Smile's 3,000.
So what does that give us?
So 3,000 to once.
Can I ask,
You heard all that, Cheryl?
can I ask both Cheryl and Cherie, because when we were talking earlier about the food festival, you both had quite reasonable reservations about giving them a lot of money. So how do you feel about that?
I didn't support it.
No, you didn't. And now?
To be honest with you, there's money there. I suppose it's just, for me, it's the perception, it's the favouritism, and it's what it's going to look like
Yeah.
out there
Yeah.
in the
So
community. But I'm okay.
Yeah, couch rooms where everybody else has funds. Does that make you feel slightly better that actually the people who are missing out?
On total funding?
Yeah.
No, actually, no, it doesn't make me feel easy.
So Erin, it's quite possible to manage that perception.
So through the chair, I think that, yeah, the communications will have to be, really clear about the fact that they're simply running their, that it's not going to TBA coffers, as it were, it's going towards running an event, that they've volunteered to run an event. And it sounds like alongside committee work. So essentially, I guess it's seed funding. Of course, it's your decision. You're just asking how you handle it. I think that Michael and I will work on some really clear communications around that. And this afternoon, we'll be doing a presentation on, innovating streets, and you'll see the branding and things that we're doing. So I think we can make that quite.
So I think by the end of the afternoon, it could be the innovative, whatever,
Innovative
launch or something. It's a fact that CBA is going to hold the money and is accountable for that money is only part of that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it has to go out here as the Thames Business Association.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that it doesn't.
I really liked your point about if it was this festival and if it was with a different agency, what would that was a really, really useful point.
If it was ABC doing it.
Yeah. I think my suggestion is to create the 5 teams as the branding that we're going to use for all this amazing stuff we're doing. You'll see some pretty exciting stuff this afternoon that we've purchased in that to aid that. So I think it needs to. This is just another amazing win for Thames in terms of bringing more people in, getting some excitement from business and some buy-in into the CBD. So that's my
So I think, when you publicise this list, which will have to go, whether it should be creating the Live Food Festival, whatever, TBA.
Run by, led by.
Led by TBA.
So Michael, we can work on the smart comms around this, can't we?
Yeah.
Well, but also, the fact that it's TBA and MediaWorks have been working quite closely together.
So we can, because it's that Baskets Festival component that they've contacted them about. So
it's about managing the position as well as we can. That's the message coming from the community boards.
Are we confident that we've covered everybody and that adds up to you and all of that kind of stuff?
We've still got some money left.
Cheryl's asking about Thames tumble tops.
About Thames what?
The tumble tots.
Tumble tots was on the spreadsheet, and I'm just wondering, did we do them?
Yeah, we included them. That's a
That's a building hire, room hire, building hire.
Oh, okay.
So we're already at in terms of the quite
Can I just clarify, the all hires, the small amounts are coming out of the grants as well?
Yes.
Nothing out of discretionary?
That's right.
the only thing out of discretionary was the
Is
Thames
the
croquet.
program, sorry, so that would be $903 left.
Right, and I think that that's not so bad to have a surplus just in case. And also then you've got 903, or do we have to?
Should I say, if we've got $900 left, why don't we look at the croquet just in terms of the playing on the stick and the fact that we've given them $800 to get out, for their resource consent, which is the council fee, and maybe we should do the croquet fund the same, so that
So what did we decide about the croquet club?
you're going to go to discretion and take all of it.
So $2,446 from discretionary.
Right,
Yeah,
So if we give croquet the same as the key park, it would feel,
So why don't we take 903
out of grants and then the balance from discretionary.
discretionary, so we've got more in discretionary for other things that happen, sorry.
Shane,
To the chair, my mistake, I didn't add the other, but wall hire in it, you've got 447 overspend.
Oh.
Just double checking now.
Yeah,
no, thank you for double checking.
In and out, in there.
what we might suggest is that you might need just 10 minutes to review your figures quietly, Shane. And it have to be, you might need 10 minutes just to review your figures.
Yeah, no, I did now, that's why I picked it up.
Yeah, so you've got to.
I'll read it through if you like.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sure, I think it's a good
That's a
idea.
much better.
And bearing in mind, Cheryl needs to leave by 12:15, so it's like the voters can count.
Put the speaker over to show so that she can hear.
Yeah.
This one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So everybody ready, please? Excuse me, everyone, we're tracking. So, Shah, yes?
Thames Museum, $3,000. Age Concern, 500, which includes the hall hire of 310. Steampunk, $6,000. Sir Keith Park Memorial, $815. Royal New Zealand SPCA, $2,500. Thames Community Centre Trust, $2,000. Thames Squash Club, $500. T3, $360 hall hire. The Coromandel Peninsula Wonder Search Trust, $1,000. Ngāti Maru, $5,000. Totally Thames, $6,000. Thames Christmas Wonderland, $6,537, which includes 4537 for hall hire. Thames Gym Sports, $1,385. $1,500 for the final race in the Hauraki Summer Series, and then $4,000 for the paddles and life jackets for the Waka kids. $1,350 for Thames Tumble Tots hall hire, and then $7,000 for the Thames Business Association. $7,000 Junior Cricket Club, $3,000 Bright Smile Community Gardens, $1,000 Spirit of Coromandel Trust, and then $2,446 discretionary for the Croquet Club. Yay.
The total of that list?
The total of that list is $60,447.
That excludes the discretion.
That excludes the discretionary. So 447.
447.
I'll not take 446, it'll do 447 into croquet and it's done.
So we've oversubscribed by $447.
We have.
So we need to take $447 off something.
It's the other way now. Well, I mean, the SPCA stuff was very contentious, I thought. So could we drop that down by 100 or 200 or
400.
500.
500?
They say get 2,000.
Yeah. Okay.
The SPCA also had its,
Yes, Cheryl?
Oh, we lost it.
their money comes from bequests. So I'm not happy to drop that one down. It might be a little bit, but not the whole lot.
Well, that's,
We've just dropped it by $447 at this stage.
500.
I dropped it by 500.
Yeah, which would cut out our deficit.
yeah.
And that would cut out our deficit.
Greenhouse is fair.
So that would leave $1,500 worth for SPCA, is that
No,
right?
that's
2,000.
No, we reduced it from 2,500 to 2,000.
Yeah.
Right, so it still leave $2,000 for SPCA.
Yep.
You all right with that, Cheryl?
Oh, no, I'm not, but that's, you know, consensus opinion, I suppose.
Yes,
If that's what the rest of the group decide, then I'll go with it.
thank you. Yeah, that's what we've all decided. I'm happy with that. All right, so pretty much done.
Okay.
leave a small surplus in there. But, so at this stage, Karen, would we want to move and seconder for this now?
Yeah, I'll hand over to Ari. Yeah, so we'll need to approve, and then we'll need to also just note that we're declining the view. So the ones that are completely crossed out, we are declining their applications. So
that has to be in the motion, is it?
yeah, in the resolution, yeah. So if we can move the approvals, can we get someone to?
Somebody to move it?
Yep.
Ron, move, second, Peter?
And then we need to move that we are declining the ones that are crossed out.
Yep. Got a mover, please?
Yeah.
Thanks, Sheree. Second,
Yeah.
Sally? Is it?
Yes.
Cheryl, thank you. All right.
And just to move for the amount that's coming out of the discretionary grant too, please.
I shall move.
I'll second it. Yeah.
Happy to move those two.
Thank you.
Done. Well done, everybody.
Well done.
It's not an easy process, as you discovered, but I think you've all performed very well and debated a lot of issues here. And we haven't done too badly.
Are they faster or slower?
You were by far the slowest.
That's just because we were far
I take pride in that.
more robust
Yeah.
debate.
No, actually, we've had, other boards that have 30 applications they have to decide, but, yeah. Nothing like a good discussion.
I think we're passionate about our community.
Most,
Yeah. Most parts, yes.
So what time's lunch?
You may have it here.
Have we got?
If you want to
Bye,
go
Cheryl.
through a few items.
Does Cheryl?
See you, Cheryl.
Oh, she's.
Cheryl, are you
It's
partying
okay.
now? Are you? Or-
He's gone.
Yes.
We could knock a few little items off, yeah. I think we'll be able to knock a few items off if possible.
Good.
I'll move the request to retain funds for the usage group that couldn't have their thing at COVID.
I second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? That was it. Move and second to that, all right.
Do you want to just put it to the vote, please?
Everyone's in favour?
Aye.
Finance, proposed lease to the aerodrome land, Thames. Page $541, that's for the two hangars.
The only question I had is rent to be at current market rate assessed by a registered valuer. So we're proving something we don't know what the rent is. When do we go to know the rent? Is it going to be?
I think we're going to know the reason before, we need to know the reason before we.
Oh, so council. Yeah.
Right, that's your question, is it, Robin?
Oh, yeah, it was just when will we know what the rent is to be?
Yeah, that's right. Martin?
Yeah, I just had a query around that because I know that where the A and B is, particularly where the A is, was a suggestion put forward by the men's shed as to where their possible location could be.
But that's no means conclusive.
So through the chair, the institute is unable to go on the airfield because it needs the designation of the airfield. It's not a your own activity. So I suggested to Warren that he might want to set the terms rate for people because there's a lot of big buildings that can be pre-fit for the entrances. Good
I think that's a great case. It's quite clear on that in terms of just the risks and the security and the rest of it. In terms of the aviation authority would allow as well.
So I'm taking it that because we're going to charge the rate at the market rate, that we can be safe that we are getting the maximum amount of this land that A fair amount. A fair, if the registered value says, 5,000, we can't say, well, we're going to leave it empty unless we get 10.
Yeah.
So I don't think, it's just that is interesting, and we did another one of these, and that might have changed because the person's left the area. But that was also to be at current market rate, and I don't know what's happened with that here. Yeah.
It's reasonable to assume that.
So-
My question, I've got a question too at some point. So anyone else got something to raise? The point I'm making there is, are the two leases consistent with the proposed plan change designation? Because it's very important that in fact, the areas that need to be used are consistent with what's being proposed in the future, not in conflict with.
Airfield.
It has an airfield designation, but there is a master plan, and certain areas are designated for hangar use. Assuming it's all okay, that's what I'm really
So
saying.
through the chair, that they, already had one from the plan change to the.
So we'll work that into account.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So we move and second, we did that, didn't we? Yeah, thanks, Peter. Second. Thanks, Martin. Sorry, Steve. Yeah. Right. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
No, there's community
Community
reports.
service.
Oh, right, yeah,
It's quite
sorry.
Oh, yes, that's
It's
right.
the rest of the time, thank you. It's not.
Page 543.
It's more after the applications.
Oh, sorry, thank you, Peter. You're on to it. 4.1, 2020 Community Service Awards. I think that was a great idea.
Yeah, so this, through the chair, this just came through our council meeting last week, where we thought, community boards have the most visibility of organisations, individuals. So it just seems appropriate that it comes through.
Is everyone happy with that? It's an outstanding idea in terms of representing our district with these things. Our award. Yeah. So I'll move that. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Jerry. Cool. Thames Community Board Work Programme on page, please.
Page 548.
Okay. Right, I'll take it as being read. I have a couple of little queries. All right, to kick it off, everyone. The Thames Valley extensions, just the amounts, they vary very much differently from the long-term plan, which is about $6 million. But this might be just the investigative work, whatever it is. So just to note that in fact, under the three waters, it was $6 million, like Thames Valley extension plans that
Was that
I think it's-
total amount?
Yes, so this was very much just for this year.
Right.
No, and we did have a challenge to get it through, so this was a way of pacing ourselves and showing that we were serious and getting on with some stuff, but absolutely acknowledge that it's only the beginning. So
Sure
we'll need
is.
to really hold that in the long-term plan discussions afternoon.
That's fine, thank you.
And I think also there was a thought that possibly the community board might like to schedule an on-site out there to get an idea of the,
Yes, Andrew Bowen's first.
of the scope of the works, because at the moment for a lot of people it's just fixing some roads and putting some culverts and pipes in, but we had a chat last week with Andrew. I raised the idea that, well, for the sake of a couple of hours, it might be a.
Let's do it, good idea.
Yeah, and we need a briefing here and on the trip.
Yeah. So I don't know how we can schedule that.
That's a suggestion, thanks, Martin. And my other question was, true domain toilet, you've got a scope of both all renewal and, well, all renewal, very important. Toilet block to begin, solution could be that all toilets are renovated and the main toilet's removal on hold.
Yeah.
Could I just have some information around that, because that's quite important to our budgets.
So through the chair, when the budget got reduced, kind of annual plan, they reduced to a level where budget lines for those two can actually easily complete like a project with the amount they've been cut. So the suggestion is that the hall was sort of the priority because it's been community and it wasn't to be looked at as part of the previous annual plan. And my understanding last time I spoke to was about looking at making the main ones, I think, on one hand, was we can still do both toilets, we just have to relook at the scope. Because my suggestion was that if it becomes, oh, we only do one of them, well, we're going to lose that money this year. And given the council's budget, we would better to go with it than the budget to do the temporary toilets and look at how we scope that. So
That's not still is it?
that was my suggestion, is we actually had budget for something we're looking for.
It's the same, I just have the same query, which is the reduction of the budget. We talked about that before, and where did it go?
It's
So
like, and we had to save 6 mil to even get to, from the rate increase of 1.8 down to 4.8, a whole lot of stuff had to go. So that's where it's gone, just like you wake up suddenly and you haven't got any library books.
So unfortunate that they didn't know that because they might have done a petition. People wanting to get the toilets done, get them there, but just have something tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's what we're saying. The part of the plan and why the delay was there was discussion about whether the inside toilets will also have access from external, and that's when it all got complicated. So I think we're going to have to do the inside toilet so that all is.
Yeah, we're just looking at the scope of the domain toilets. So both budget, essentially there were two budgets, one for the hall, one for the domain, they both got reduced.
Yeah,
And we do not do we can't do the scope of what we're looking at doing with those two budgets at that level. So the sounds okay, but the domain toilets will top up the hall ones, so we can do it with one or two of the hall, and the domain toilets maybe a one-pan toilet and so Ross is scoping what that.
So that'll be revisited for that one too.
No, it has to next happen this year.
Yeah. And that's my next question.
So my game, I think was let's keep them both finished here, full priority, and the domain is just got that out. So that they are going to happen, and I think they do it this year.
So right, and it's not like it's a high volume, it's a really useful toilet, but it's not like a bus load of people stop there. So a smaller number of pans probably does make sense for the one, for the domain and do the,
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
Now, it has to happen as well because we do very little on the coast. We do even less down south in Hikatara and that.
Nothing up the phone.
oh, come on.
So is there an absolute need for the one pan toilet? Is there an absolute need for the one pan toilet?
I think that there's quite a long
Being the
way.
devil's advocate.
It's a long way from the beach to the toilet.
There isn't any other toilets at Tikuru other than that one, is there?
There's some down at the wall.
No.
No,
No. So it is the only toilet between, and so when kids, and the hall is mostly shut, that was the joy of potentially bringing them together. So that rule out the hall and you've got lots of people playing games and stuff or whatever. So I think one, is it necessary at all?
And the domain,
That's the kind of asking because
Yeah.
well, I think you've got to have toilet in the domain. I like the idea of the external drawer into the hall. I thought it was brilliant, really, because it just cut that whole thing out, but we're not going to do that. You can't budget that, well, then that's okay, but certainly the family needs an upgrade, and so I'm only looking at that, you know.
I think,
No, excellent, thanks. That's right, that were my questions. Only the total value extensions and the differences in the huge budget that's going to be in the long-term plan, and the questions around the toilet.
So I just had questions at the very last item around local grants, where it said that there were 69,900 available in local grants, but it's been clarified that 10 grand of that is for treasury. Right? Yeah. Right. And then we've gone down to the 6 grand. But 32 grand, contract community services, what's that?
So they, to the chair, those projects we have with community groups have a 3-year long-term planning period. So it's got budget.
The museum does,
Coromandel.
does,
So that's like 3-year period, so they don't have to come into you.
Citizens advice,
So much per annum, isn't it?
yeah,
Might be nice actually, you know.
so that'll be all up the grades in the long-term plan. And that's why the long-term plan workshops are really important in terms of how we're going to, like Cheryl, you're not able to be here. It's
I want to be, I'm just sort of, I'm not here for as long as I can until my place is otherwise.
I mean, in terms of accountability for that amount of money, because you just said it would be nice to hear from them. I mean, HMC does perhaps.
I'm not here from them, it might be nice to hear who they are.
Yeah, not I don't make it a document. Why don't you list? So we have some halls, we've got Hariri, Kauranga, Te Puru, and Tapu Hall, and then the other ones are Citizens Advice Bureau, Tapu, Fire Brigade, Hariri, Fire Brigade, Thames Centre, Thames Museum, Ballast Street Pump House Society, Thames Citizens, Thames Mineralogical Museum, Thames Beauty Patrol, Charitable Trust, and the Treasury. And I can advise that I know that some of these send in quite regular updates in terms of how things go on at HMC, and I regularly send things through which goes on.
Is the chief market on that? I see something, don't they? So see those report.
Concessions.
Love your report. Thank you.
And so do you, so Erin's just read out 15 names. So what do we do? Do we give them money?
It's with long-term plan, but they apply to the long-term plan process.
Right.
And then we enter into a 3-year contract for community services. So it's kind of know that's grant money to group.
Right, so the contractual services with each of those organisations. Right, and we'll review those through our long-term plan.
And it gives a bit of continuity, and it means staff don't have to be looking to review them every year.
I think
Yeah, that's a good point. That's exactly what.
I think the Treasury will be an interesting one because there's district funding, there's local funding, there's Kauranga District Council funding, and so that is one but that will come up in the next year or in the
Okay, well, that's just about concludes it. We move on to technical. So, work program, any questions? Shall move to, thanks Peter. Yeah, sure. Action schedule. Well, we'll just get through it. Then we go for lunch.
Can I just say, I think it's really good that things have been followed up.
Yeah,
To see things on here that pick, spoken to power, all of this sort of carry on, you followed through with Warren's life, fantastic, thank you.
I just had a query around the first one. How that has been added to Councillor Fox's list. So,
well, it was going to be, so it was around the discussion that we had at the last council meeting.
yeah,
But I think now it's going to be added to Michael Jones's list that he's doing the whole transportation.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's coming through in a different way.
Right.
He certainly did raise some of the issues at the Regional Transport Committee.
Yeah.
but I'm not sure he specifically raised
Yeah, and
that one.
yeah, so just a little bit of background for, now that I think Councillor Fox has taken on self to, well,
As
Councillor
part of
Freeman,
this.
to be like the NZTA liaison person, so things around roads get given to him. But I thought this is just a local road, so it's not just a bylaw.
Because this is the current battle right out of
But this is the whole problem with the bylaw, is that the bylaw is under constant review, and there was going to be an international thing, and so the red tape becomes, and so, you know, I sat on that committee for 3 years, and Tony thinks he's going to sort it in 5, and that's great. He does believe in increasing speed things, but anyway, that's the sort of, I think that it's not an easy thing, and that as a council, we've not been happy to go out knowing that what appears simple to us, you get 5,000 submissions saying, oh no, my business will go broke if I can't go 70 and on there. And then they take you to court. So no, everyone's hands off. And that's no excuse, but it's been
Not happy
excuse for
about
the
that.
last 10 years.
Excellent, thank you. You want to take that? Well, I just had a query. Yeah, well, I had a query related to the Carco thing. Obviously, there's a budget that they're requesting from us, but I had some questions about who's culpable. In other words, if an accident did occur. I know that under the aviation safety plan and designations relating to height to approach the airport, they're all okay, you know, from a council perspective. But the thought was that an accident could still happen there, so I know that we couldn't find $35,000, given that the aviation plan is okay, but it's sort of not okay as well. And I just wondered about the option of put some wrap around the cables, some red or orange wrap that goes the length of the span, which would be a lot cheaper. It's not burying it, it's just simply putting something over the wires so that the aircraft can visually see better in relationship to their approach, you know, from that angle. So I think that was a suggestion by Stu Reed.
Yeah, so through the human understanding of manager is there's no CAA requirement or concern around those overhead wires. So in this afternoon, however, in this afternoon discussion, I have put it down as potential that we could add to the TNT for budget through the long-term planning process. So my understanding is it's not deemed a risk from that point of view. So it seems to be something that we raise by the users.
Right, and so you don't want to explore the cheaper option of just putting a cover over the road as well. Just that's the one.
So that's something that we have to speak to.
Or whether the board thinks it's worthwhile, that happening is another story, you know. Or as you've seen the wires, sometimes you can see a little orange or red wrap, you know, along the wire span.
We could ask, couldn't we, don't we, but that, yeah.
Wouldn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
I'd just like to ask a question, how long have those wires been there? How long has that contract?
Just like there've been ice sheets in the Atlantic
And how long
for thousands of
has
years.
it been on
And
the
the type of
station?
Right.
It's the main, yeah, I mean, it's the main feed into
Yeah,
town, so it's been there for a long time.
and now it's just popped up that there's a problem with that, or has that been a problem with it?
No, it was just noted that, you know,
There was, yeah,
there's been some aircraft place calls. But from an aviation point of view, it's okay.
I also had a query, the bottom item about the heritage notice board, but presumably we might be talking about that as a route.
Secretary, I know with Aaron Flint, so what the NRO is now going to do is about what we're doing with Innovation Street. Yeah, and so I mean, I've actually got a meeting with the which actually work through the available of everyone and the potential staff
Yeah, because I think there was some talk initially of it being on that Stirling Sports Walk, but now we're talking about the Stirling Sports Walk being up here also.
No, really better than it's going to have a beautiful mural on it.
But you're in contact with, and I think she said yesterday that there was a rescheduled meeting or something,
Yes,
so,
yes,
yeah. I'm happy with that.
on our schedule.
Excellent, thanks, yeah. So are we all right to advance to a mover and second for this? Yeah.
I'll move.
Thanks, thanks, Julie. Awesome.
Well, Simply.
Oh, Rob was.
Yeah.
I thought 2 years ago. Members' reports. Page 1 has been read, I think I've sent one through. Peter sent one through. It'd be nice if everyone could just, I mean, even word, write a report, but I'd prefer to see the report, but especially, just updating the community board with council stuff,
Yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah.
Need to get a little bit more cognizant about that. Not putting it on there, and just, it's really important. And us just giving a little bit of a report is really important, especially with the important issues that might be going on, that we're all engaged in.
So from a council point of view, there is a huge amount going on, and the long-term plan will be a complicated process, and financially things are really tight, and who knows, yesterday could be even tighter. If we go back into another serious COVID situation, so that's an unknown. So the three waters are really interesting at a national level, and the council has approved for us to go into sort of tranche 1, which isn't, and there is legal opinion that that's not binding in terms of better to be around the table than out of the table. And council potentially in the next 5 years could look really, really different in terms of what we do. So that's an interesting space nationally. I think it was really good, not so major but important was the community grants. That was the mayor's idea to actually widen it to the community boards rather than, community, services. So that was good. The other thing, we've talked a lot about business after 5. Some of us were at the businesses, was at the AGM. Rob Williams spoke. That relationship between them and council, I think, is going better. And a real positive feel. People like Matt, I think, will be useful on the committee in terms of having a local business, but certainly regional and nationally sort of linked in. So that feels good. And what else? And there's I think the other important thing for us to be aware of as a community board and is the sometime in this LTP process, which isn't very long, there'll be a representation review. So it got clear that council that we were saying at first past the post, STV didn't go anywhere. I missed that meeting. Hamilton's gone STV, but we've stayed boring and old fashioned. But anyway, that's beside the point. The council decision was that first past the post. In terms of Māori seats, are we talking to iwi, but probably nothing this term? Would that be correct? Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of representation?
Well, there was talk about whether we should look at whether there is seats for at the table, and that some councils have gone down that way, and I don't think we're at that place yet.
Yeah, well, just it was that's a little bit disquieting that there were 8 or 9 elected members sitting around discussing whether we should have Māori representation or not, and it kind of felt like, well, are we asking the right people? So yeah, I'm not actually sure where that was left. But Dale from the election things coming back. Somewhere.
Yes, so I think the roles of community board will come up at some stage, and so I think we need to be ready for that. And we need to be thinking about what is important as a community board that you want us to write around that table for. So whether we can somehow have a discussion, because if you get the agenda on the Thursday and the meetings on the Tuesday, or whatever, I'm not criticising that, all I'm saying is, if you haven't done your homework before about what your community board wants, it's really hard to get that feel.
And you've raised some really interesting questions there, Sally, especially about the three waters, because I can see the type of infrastructure and the new regs and all the rest of it, big costs. Huge costs for our area. And some of those costs are going to be, viewed in the long amalgamation type of council
For whole new structures.
Whole new structures, and those whole new structures might mean a lot to community boards in terms of just where they sit in the whole population in the future. But the things that are going to, council's going to have to go with because they just couldn't afford some of this infrastructure otherwise. It's going to really bring out a whole debate in terms of representation, how that might be reviewed over my time, 2 years' time, but your future times if you keep going, it's going to be a very interesting debate.
And what interests me is that only 40%, correct me if I'm wrong, 40% of our residents are connected to water supplies, 60% aren't. And when you think about up the coast, down that way, suddenly we had 5 years and somebody had to put water and wastewater up the Thames coast. Well, then you are talking multi-million-dollar.
Yeah.
So what's the
They were saying
expectation
50
of
to
those
80
that
million.
have actually got some sort of water supply?
Well, that's the argument. It could be, you could spend 50 grand on a fancy scheme now and then us telling you in 5 years' time, got to join us as we're going. So it gets pretty tricky.
I'll start because we're going to
No, that's
talk
it.
about the
And you don't mind us
storm.
just asking you questions as we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I think, yes, so we did discuss the shoreline management plan as well at council, last time we all went together. And myself, Tony Fox and Terry Walker are on the shoreline management plan governance group with 3 people from Whanahara. We've got our first meeting, I think, on the 8th or 10th of that first round of upload. So that'll be pretty exciting. He keeps going, and then I think the coastal panels will be sometime. Yeah, I think you heard about with the coastal panels?
No, yeah, it's very, very clear.
Yes.
Thought it might be coming next year.
No, this year, yeah, definitely this year.
So you're one of the representatives, aren't you? Shall we say?
Yes, so
You
Sheree-
want me to update on that?
Yeah, Sheree and Peter on the coastal panels.
Yeah.
And elected members are more than welcome as observers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there.
Yes, and I believe that they've received a large number of applicants to be on those coastal panels, and they're just going through those at the moment and reviewing as such.
One of the concerns I had very quickly with that was why had a regional council involved, and I got a little bit of an answer from Amy when I asked him the question.
Yeah.
But I was still very dissatisfied with the fact that they were in that role of arm's length role of contesting issues along the way rather than being on the way, on board, on the same page. And that to me is really sad because I can just see an environment where in the next few years, where debates are going to be ongoing and decisions are not going to be made. I just hope that environment doesn't.
That was discussed at a reasonable length, and Avon assured us that everywhere lower than the governance group, the staff are working very closely with WRC staff. So that was the reassurance that we got.
In fact, I think Terry asked me to talk 3 times if staff were happy.
Yeah, and they said staff were happy, so.
I just think they should have more skin in the game, but anyway, that's only my own view. I just see I see an avenue there that's going to give them a lot of outs.
Yeah.
Yep.
In
celebrations I've been doing, like it's AGM season, so I've been to a couple of those, and I had 2 in 1 week. The one was the Business Association, which was, there was quite a lot of positive energy, and I think it was a well done event, as Sally said, Rob Williams spoke. And yeah, there was a positive buzz there, and then there were quite a few people from lots of different places. And the other AGM I attended the same week was the Thames Community Cancer Support, and I was the only person who wasn't on the committee who attended that. And I was quite struck by the fact that even though it was a much smaller AGM and it was, you know, a very different group of people, there was just as much passion with the 7 of us sitting around having an AGM as there had been with the, I don't know how many people were at the other AGM. So I was quite heartened by that, and I hosted an AGM for Transition Town, and we had quite a few people come out of all groups to attend to that, and I thought this is good, I like this. I think it's nice that people are getting involved with the community. And the other shout out that I really wanted to mention here is that I did knit during lockdown for Contract Cover. So I went to their exhibition on Friday and Saturday morning, and it was just amazing to see the Civic Centre conference room. There were 5 rows of tables spread across the hall, and they were growing under the weight of things that people had knitted. And it was just really it was really heartening to see so much goodwill and so much love, and just, gosh, so much warmth. And it was all there, and it was just really lovely. And my son was looking for the jersey that I knitted, and sort of looking around the little parcels in the garden, that's quite something. But then I noticed that that's what everybody was doing, and there was a lot of comments of, oh, this is great, and that's a great idea. It was just a really lovely experience to be a part of. So
awesome.
Shout out to those guys.
Good. I want to go to the streets, it's really pleasant. We had that Rose Park, with me and Sandra, and I think I've made a note about that. In terms of, it's going to be a long process in terms of the district, the planning changes at the new site. But we'll talk a little bit more about that this afternoon. Our long-term plan views of the aquatic centre and Rose Park, that seems to be some clarification coming through on that, so that's good. Karen will talk to that. And Martin?
Yes, so I went to the Thames Business Association AGM and Business After 5 last night. Also, just repeating the news that there were community board members have heard this morning about the others public knowledge now.
About the, yes, COVID.
Right, COVID directors. And I think Rob was saying initially they were offered 6, and then they got a phone call saying,
I think she said that they were offered even something lower, and then it went to 6.
Yeah, and then they said, oh, do you want 10?
Went to 10.
Yeah.
And then it came down to 8.
Their application was for 9.3, and they got 8.3, so it was pretty fantastic.
So is there a new application, or because wasn't it a custom one?
No, it was more information, okay, so it's been in the
Yeah, I think they wanted more information around what was being contributed locally, I believe. So that's good.
Norman had done a wonderful job with it.
Yes.
And Ross, I think, was involved. Ross Ashby.
Yeah, I was wondering, and I know they've probably been thanked, and are probably sick of being thanked, but maybe the community board.
I think it'd be lovely to write a letter of
Thank them because with Sugarloaf and with this one.
For their input.
And the performing arts is cranking up again, and Thames Music and Drama production of Up the Duff starts next Saturday out of Tarangaroo. Obviously, we took a little bit of a step back last night with the announcement of COVID making another appearance, so we're reviewing how we might go about that. Our audience would be considerably under 100, but we're just going to be waiting for a couple of days to see what the what the advice is around that. And yes, we also council Thames ward members had a meeting last week along with Strat around the Rose Park Aquatic Centre, and we just really liked the idea that we were sitting there in a room, we had staff, we were able to ask questions, and hopefully we can make sure that we get more of that sort of thing happening, because it's just invaluable. You can speak way more knowledgeably if you've got staff there who feel they can, you know, they can say stuff and it's, you know, it's not confidential, but it's,
And I think
it's just people in a room, you know.
Yeah, and I think from that point, it's important that our delegates get invited too.
Yeah.
Sure it was.
Yes.
You know that I was pretty upset at the fact that you asked to go there.
Did Andrew come along? Did he come and see you?
Yeah.
Oh, he was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you got a future message to say, please, don't even do that again.
Yes, and the only other thing to notice about the heritage notice board I was asked about, but it looks like that's been covered, so
It's all good. No, it's all good. Well, that's awesome, thank you.
Can I just,
You have a question?
on 1.5, back in 2015, I think it was, Parliament Music applied for a grant from the Thames Community Board to help fund the costs of hiring the hall for a year. And that was granted, we got $580 or something, $600. But it was really, it made a real difference, because where that is now, Parliament Music is pretty much every month there's a gig that goes on in the hall, and maybe reflect on the power of these grants. You know, in one sense, it was a small amount, but actually and it's something that's really acknowledged by the community. This month, we have a show that we ended up in the Civic Centre, and just because of the popularity of it, and we've closed off bookings at 300 people. So something kind of that began with a bit more momentum a few years ago. It's kind of the incarnation this month is in a hall here of 300 people. I sent a note to everybody this morning, just advising that we will be getting their money back if we have to stop constantly, stopping because of COVID. Yeah, which is, you know, you can't have 300 people together.
No,
under the
no,
yeah. We'll just see what happens.
Just read that one of the people that is turned positive while he had symptoms, but we've all been treated, has gone to Rotorua and back. So, so there will be more cases like that. We will not contain this at 4. So I think that come Friday, we'll be at level 2 for a long time.
If it's in Rotorua.
All I'm saying, I'm not saying it's Rotorua, I'm just saying people are incredibly mobile and we get around this country. And so, yeah, so I think that there's, I'm expecting it to get a lot more before it gets better.
All right, thank you. I think that closes the meeting.
We can move around. Yes.
Yes, Robin.
Can I just make one admin change, and that's for the grants? So can we just get a mover and seconder for those ones where Robin and Martin were a conflict? Yes, so I need to do that separately. So can I get a mover for that? Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Sherry.
Well done, everyone. Lunch. Anyone have our workshop?
Yep.
Okay, is everyone
And a position to join us via Teams.
1 o'clock, come back.
Lauren saying she was disappointed.